And we are live. How exciting. Hello, Metabolic Living. It's Lora. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the social media manager here at Metabolic Mastery Club, here at Metabolic Living. I also run our Metabolic Mastery Club. I'm in all the Facebook groups, etc. But today I'm really excited. If you can't tell, I'm a little jittery more than normal because we're being joined by Angela, who is amazing. You are like our first, really, since I've ever been here, Metabolic Living ambassador. And what's really cool is you started the programs right around when I started working here. So in summer of 2018, right?
Okay. Well, I started in January, the first time I did it.
Okay. So we were I just knew when I first came in, you were doing the program again, and I saw you in the Facebook group, and that's how I first knew of you, which was exciting. Do you want to just kind of say first, just like, hello, it's okay if you're nervous. You might be nervous. I'm nervous all the time on these. And maybe where you live and kind of just like what program you started with and how you found us?
Sure. Okay, I'll try to remember all that.
I'll help you.
So the first program I did was Metabolic Renewal, and that was 3.5 years ago when I started that. And then since then, I've done that program 4 times, and I've done Metabolic Prime 3 times, and I did the Immunity Challenge twice. And then I'm also part of the Metabolic Mastery Club and am working my way through all of the workouts and really enjoy all of the education that they have on that site as well. So, and I currently live in southwestern North Carolina, so the very edge of North Carolina. And I'm in a house of all guys. I'm married to my husband and I have 3 teenage boys. So that's it.
That's a lot though. Being the only woman, I can't imagine. How did you first, this is a question that we don't ask enough, that I'm always curious when I'm in the Facebook groups, especially when I'm interacting with people, is how did you find us? Because like everyone's answer is different. So how did you find us?
Yeah. So at the time that I came across a Facebook ad was how I first found Metabolic Renewal. And at the time I wanted to make some changes in my life. I wanted to be healthier. But I wasn't quite sure how to go about doing that. And so it came at the perfect time. And I love anything that's personalized. So it was like the hormone quiz, and I was like, ooh, personalization. So I was all excited about that. And then everything that Dr. Jade said made a whole lot of sense to me. So that was how I first got started.
So what is your hormone type then? That's a question we get asked, like people are confused. Has yours changed or is it the same?
No, it's been the same. I'm still a type 1 right now.
Lucky you. They're all great. They're all great types, and we all learn and grow and we change. So there's no hormone type that's better than the others. I was just teasing her. Do you still follow kind of the recommendations for your hormone type, or have you kind of started to go and be your own metabolic detective now, like we talk about?
I would say somewhat. Like, if I remember correctly, there was a recommendation about, eating your carbs at, the beginning of the day instead of the end of the day, something like that. I never got that specific, but I also got the results I wanted. If I hadn't gotten results, I would have, gone a step further and gotten a little more serious with that. And then with my hormone type, Jade recommended 5,000 to 10,000 steps. And for some of the other hormone types, you're supposed to get even more steps. So I don't always, I'm more closer to the 5,000 steps. But again, I got results. If I hadn't, I would have, okay, I need to step up actually. So.
Well, I love what you said, because I think a lot of people get hung up on they get the program and they're like, I must follow everything exactly and do everything at once. Mm-hmm. And sometimes a lot of people say I'm really overwhelmed, mm-hmm. or how can I do all of this? And you just pointed out something really important. You got the results you wanted and you did what worked for you. And you knew if this part didn't work, you could come and add back and refine and change, but you didn't get so hung up on doing it perfectly.
Right. Yes.
which probably helped you do it successfully.
Right.
Right.
And I know he even talks about like, measuring your protein and, talks about measurements of different foods that you should get. And when I initially read it, I was like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. I just don't know about that. And so I didn't worry about that to begin with. And I still got results. Now, there may be a time when I'm sure there will come a time when you have to start, narrowing in on some things and being more specific, but that worked for me.
Well, and the good news is, those are there. So like, obviously we're going to keep growing and changing.
Right.
And, so we know we have those tools available to us.
Right.
Like when the time comes. So I guess, so to speak, it's like kind of comforts me to know that like, even if I'm not using all those tools now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is a question. I love this one. Someone sent this to me and they were like, why do you like Dr. Jade? So I was like, I like it. What do you mean? So
I actually love that question. I really love it. Okay. So I feel like Dr. Jade and I are kindred spirits because and I've never met him in person, but he just says it like it is. He's like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is the truth of the matter. And you can either accept it and make the changes or you cannot, but don't whine about it. If you're not going to make the changes, I mean, that's up to you, So I love that approach. And I'm very much like that in my own life, just with people. And so I like that about him. And he doesn't care too much about whether or not people love him. I mean, of course, everyone wants to be loved, but he's not like, that's not his intention that he wants people to like him. He's just like, I know what the material is. I'm going to teach it. And, it's up to you what you're going to do with it. So
I would agree with that too. I love that. Like, I think, he's not trying to be liked. He doesn't care. Cause some people are like, why is this dude? Like he even says like, why does this big, bald linebacker looking guy know about female hormones? And he doesn't care if people are like, dude, you're a dude.
Dude, you're a dude. Yeah.
He does this to get you to the point. And I think it's refreshing too, right? That someone doesn't care and he just wants to help people.
Yes.
And he does a good job. Now, this is fun. Since we did talk about Dr. Jade, I feel like I would be remiss. This question wasn't sent to me because they just didn't know better because he's not in Metabolic Renewal. But what do you like about Dr. Jonny? Like, how are they different? Because you've seen them both then with Metabolic Mastery Club. And obviously Dr. Jonny doesn't do workouts or specialize in females, but maybe could you talk a little bit about their differences and what you like about him too? You don't have to.
Yes. So Dr. Jonny, I mean, he's what, 72 or something?
I'm not going to say his age on here because he might not like me for it, but he's a little bit more than that, I believe.
So, okay. So he's in his 70s. That's amazing. And what impresses me about him is that he's still a learner at the age that he is. He still wants to learn and he's still like active in his own life. Like he plays tennis a whole bunch and he's active in socially, like he knows so many people, he has contacts with people and he respects other people and wants to learn from them too, which I think is an amazing quality. And I know that he's lived out all this health stuff in his life. I've gotten to where I pay attention to how people live their lives and I want to see people's actions, not just hear their words. And I know that he's been living this out in his life, all the things that he talks about, he lives them out. And I love that. I think that's an amazing quality.
I would agree. I think it's different. And the idea of being a lifelong learner, knowing that like he screwed up a lot in his past and he'll talk about that.
Yes.
Doesn't like say like, oh, that was bad. Like he doesn't seem like, he lets you make your choices and decisions and then learn how to grow from them. Even like when, something might change in science and he'll go, oh, well, maybe I was wrong about this. And still learning and growing. And I think that especially as we get older, it's a lot harder to like, be like, hey, I was wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would agree on that. And I love them both. I mean, they both have different specialties and different ways of interacting, but I think it's fun to learn from them both.
Right. Exactly.
Now, I guess, so this is a trick question. You probably can't answer, but maybe you can. Of all the programs you've done with us, Do you have one that's just your absolute favorite?
I don't have a favorite. I think I like them for different reasons. I mean, I like Prime because it makes me feel so strong. I like Renewal because it emphasizes the womanhood, you know. So I feel more like a woman with Renewal. I feel more like a man with Prime.
I can understand that.
And then, I mean, I love the immunity challenge because I just think it's great to have extra workouts and more teaching as well through that. And I love Metabolic Mastery Club because I love the amount of information that's on there, and it's continuously being more information, you know, it's growing. And I love working my way through all of the over 300 and something workouts. It keeps me occupied. So I like them all for different reasons, and I like having the variety to choose from.
It is nice once you've done so many of our programs and you can figure out where you are in life and like what's the right fit for you. So like I've gone back and I'm doing a round of renewal right now because I felt like that was what I needed to do, but I still do the MMC workouts obviously as well, since I also do them before we share them, but like maybe not as heavy, you know, I follow the guidelines for renewal and try to like force myself to go for more walks, or for my hormone type, more stress reduction activities. It's something I'm really bad about scheduling. So like I knew if I did renewal and I told the ladies in the group it would force me to kind of follow through.
Exactly. And I think that's an important point, is knowing yourself. I think so much of this is about knowing yourself and what works for you. So in your case, you knew that you needed that extra accountability. If you like announced it, hey, I'm doing this, who's going to do it with me? Then it forces you to be more accountable because you don't want to not do it. And then people are counting on you.
Exactly. No, I knew if I said it, I had no choice but to
exactly
do it all. And I think that is part of why I like the Prime Challenge, for example.
Yeah.
Because we have everyone doing it together. And when we did the immunity challenge the first time, it was like literally we were all in this together too, which is but it's cool how you can do anything on your own as well. And you still have the groups that keep you accountable.
Right. And for some of the women who are just starting and they feel like they need that extra accountability, I've seen sometimes women in the group will ask for an accountability partner. So feel free to do that. If you need someone to check in with you every day or once a week or whatever, and if you have a specific, you know, person, like if you want someone who's also starting at the same time, or maybe you want someone who's done it already a few times and you want someone who's already a little more experienced, or do you want someone with the same hormone type, or, you know, whatever the specifications are. I think we have tens of thousands of women in the group. I'm sure someone will be able to partner up with you. And I think that can be really helpful for people who need that.
Yeah, and we just encourage them to post in the group and have that person say, like, tag them in a post. So like you'll see, like we have a couple people who always will tag their workout partner in the stuff in the group. So like they're really keeping, and then that way everyone else can learn and grow from it too. So it's just really fun. And then like you'll see the person comment with like, they're like, okay, you know, I don't know, Judy, I'm making up this name. Here's my workout video, and then or post or whatever. And then Judy will comment back, or they'll send them together. And that's really fun. And it actually really encourages, I think, the rest of us to know that like, oh, okay, they're doing it. I can do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what the group is there for. So don't feel bad about, you know, monopolizing the group in that way. So
it's not, and it makes my life more fun. I love seeing, I know I personally am inspired by all the stories and what everyone else is going through every day, you know? I love, and I this question I think is relevant to the groups, but also just like, what do you think is the most valuable thing that you've learned from all of our programs, whether it be in the group sphere or on your own? Like, what is the biggest takeaway that we can also then tell? So when someone watches this who's new, or maybe they've done this 3 times, maybe they'll go, oh, I learned that too, and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah. So I think that question comes down to figuring out what your why is, which I think is really important. when I first started, all I knew was that I wanted to lose 10 pounds and I wanted to get healthier and feel better, which is a very general statement, right? There's no way to like say how you're being healthy or feeling better. So, and that's fine. If that's where you're at and you bought the program and you're like, I just need to get ready for a wedding, or I just need to lose this 10 pounds or whatever, that's fine if that's where you're at. But now that I've been doing this 3.5 years, I feel like my why has become much more focused. So my first why is I want to age well. And I don't mean just I want to look well while I age, but I want my body and my mind to age well. And like I was just talking about Dr. Jonny, I'm so impressed with people who are older than myself. I'm 42. Anyone who's older than me that is really active and engaged in their own life and excited about their own life and just fully like in it instead of just sitting on the guidelines or the sidelines. I'm so impressed by that. And that's how I want to be as I get older. But you need to have a body that's healthy and a mind that's healthy in order to do that. Mm-hmm. And then my second why is I really believe that my life and my body and my health are all gifts from God. And so I want to use those, manage those well, grow those, develop them, and they're mine to do that with for as long as I have them, because you have your own. So it's your responsibility to manage and grow and develop yourself, but I am responsible for my own growth. And that, if you can, I don't know if that makes sense, but it has more to do with your identity. It's not just, oh, I'm doing this 12-week program or I want to lose the 10 pounds. It's like, this is my identity. Like I see myself as someone who manages her life well and manages her body well and takes care of herself. And so that's my identity. So that's going to last much longer than 12 weeks, much longer than reaching your goal weight. It's about the rest of my life. And that's what I want my life to look like. And I want to be that way for the rest of my life. So I think that's really important to realize what your why is. And if you're not there yet, that's fine, because I wasn't there when I started. But use this time while you're in the program to really think about it. What is my why? And why is this important to me? What do I want the rest of my life to look like? And once it becomes part of your identity and it's like your conviction, then you're going to be much more likely to stay in that direction instead of, people talk about falling off the wagon. You're not going to fall off the wagon. You're going to be like leading the wagon. So.
Oh, I just love that. And I think we have a lot of people who come and then they quit because maybe it really is. And sometimes they have these like outlandish goals where they think in 12 weeks or 22 days and then they're going to lose all this weight. And then suddenly they're going to emerge as a different person, just like magic fingers. And it doesn't work that way. So then they get frustrated.
Right.
And then they sometimes quit. But your approach and way of looking at it is, like we have these little goals that we want to accomplish in life, but like we have to like ultimately committing to this it's a physical program, but it involves like with your SHMEC, for example, those of you who don't know, because I know this one is really confusing. It's what stands for sleep, hunger, mood, energy, and cravings. And it helps you kind of identify things that like are kind of more like, would you say nebulous? Like it's harder for somebody to understand your energy levels and things. Those are usually something bigger going on than just like, yes, it's related to what you ate and what your workout was or how many steps you have, but it's also related to your mood and where you, and so like a lot of it does accompany personal transformation and commitment.
Right. Exactly.
And looking at why you want to do that and stick with it beyond, like, I think is where a lot of people get stuck because maybe that's scary to think about.
And it requires really looking inward. And sometimes people aren't comfortable with that. They'd rather they'd rather do some steps that are like outward steps, you know? But sometimes to make those changes, you really have to look inward at yourself and be conscious of what are you thinking? What kind of things are you telling yourself? And so it's hard for some people, but it's worth it. It's very worth it. If we're still live, Lora lost power. I lost my person. I'm just waiting for her to get back on. She's texting me. It's like, I lost power. So we're waiting. Thanks for sticking with us. To my dog. Say hi.
Hey, hello everyone. I think we're back, but we're not on YouTube possibly. And all right, everyone, I think we're back. This has never before happened to me. And just so you know what happened, it's a beautiful day where I am, absolutely gorgeous. And out of nowhere in the middle of our conversation, the power just went out, which meant that my internet went out and the Zoom connection failed. So I don't know, this is really awkward. I don't know what you heard. I don't know what you saw. You might've seen a really cute puppy. If you didn't see a cute puppy, Angela promises to take a picture of her puppy and we'll put it in the comments when we share this in the Facebook group. Really, I just genuinely apologize. This is the wonders of live things. And thank you guys for staying with us and coming back. And we'll see if we can't edit these two videos together. But anyhow, I think sometimes all you can do is laugh, right, Angela? I think this is actually maybe a good thing to say. Like, we were talking about your why and commitment and if you fall off the program. And this is a really natural, good example. So like, yes, I feel awkward and uncomfortable and a little irked that my internet went in the middle of this. But we could have just been like, oh, all right, this is too hard. Okay, Angela, we're just done. We're not going to come back. Like, this is uncomfortable and weird. We'll just like pretend this video never happened and we'll do it another time. Right? But right. We reconnected and here we are now. So you can do this on a program. It doesn't matter if you accidentally went out and, you know, ate that chocolate cake and then didn't do your workout and you skipped 2 weeks and whatever else. Yep. Just like my internet connection, you can reconnect and come back. There's the glass half full, right?
Right.
One of the questions I know that we didn't get that I really wanted to address too was like, this one was, so because you're a mom, like I'm a mom too, and like we have a lot of moms in the group especially, and a lot of people have been struggling with stress lately. That's why we actually did a whole video last week on stress, and then I did a follow-up video for MMC on stress. We were asked like, what are some of your ways of handling things, like what just happened, for example, or even maybe you were stressed out about meeting with me. But with your family, your kids and everything, like you got a lot going on. We all do.
So I think that, I mean, there's things we can't plan for, right? Because we didn't plan that to happen. There's a lot of things that are out of our control and we can't plan for, but there is so much that we can plan for. I think a lot of times it's easier to make excuses, or it's just easier to say it's too hard, so I don't want to plan that. But in regards to weight loss, I think one of the most important things that we need to do is plan our meals. And for people who are out of the home a lot, that's going to take more intention and more planning, because if you're going to take a lunch with you to work, you do need to plan that ahead of time. Or if you have to eat out a lot, maybe your job requires you to eat out with coworkers or clients or whatever, then knowing what restaurant you're going to be eating at and like looking at the menu ahead of time and planning what you're going to eat. It requires planning, but I think it is so helpful, because the number one way we should be trying to lose weight is through the food choices that we make. So I think that it's well worth your time. I know a lot of people, I talk to a lot of women, and I know a lot of women do not want to plan their meals. But then if you're not getting results, don't whine about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sounding like Dr. Jade now, but really it should be, I feel like it's the number one thing that we should be planning. If you can't plan anything else out, at least plan what your meals are going to be. So at least that's a steady in your life.
I think that's great. And I mean, I know that's a struggle for a lot of people. So like they now life is going, a little bit back to normal, and suddenly they had control more and they're like, oh, well, now I can't. And you can plan. And for me, like even just, I don't always plan the time I'm going to do a workout, because like work things will happen, or, I have a 4-year-old, or, like anything can happen, but I try to stick to like, I have a day and I have like a time in my day when I do it. So whether, it doesn't matter if I'm off by 30 minutes or whatever, but I know that in this chunk of time somewhere in there, that workout will happen. And then it's up to you to follow through with that. Right. Cause then I think we get more stressed about like sometimes, like, especially not doing things like, so not planning your meals, and then you're stressed because you didn't do it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I should have done it. Now I'm here and I don't know what to do because I didn't do, or not planning out the time to do my workouts. They're skipping it can be more stressful than just like doing it.
Right. And things will happen that you can't control, but as much as possible, like if it's not a crisis if you failed to plan your meals all week long. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can understand if you're like, one day something happens and it was completely out of your control and you couldn't, plan your meals at all. But if that becomes a habit and you're just never, ever planning your meals, then it's not, I don't know.
So, and we do have lots of tools. If that's a meal planning is hard for you. I mean, we have the MMP Metabolic Meal Planners. Bella's always creating new recipes. We have some new fun things coming down the road. Just stay tuned.
Okay.
To meals too. So there is a lot of support opportunities there, I would say. And I know Bella's recipes, I'm always like, oh, there's too many for me to pick from. Not, that's a good problem to have. And I know your food is always beautiful. If you haven't seen her in the group, she often shares her recipes and what she's been making, and it's delicious.
Yeah, I usually share them, and since I'm doing Metabolic Mastery Club, I usually share them over there now. But yeah, and again, you don't have to there's no one way to do it. I have a weird thing where I never repeat a recipe. I just don't, you guys. I always do a different recipe, and I like that because I get bored if I make the same thing all the time. And I feel like I'm this creative, artistic person in the kitchen when I'm always doing different recipes. And so it feeds my soul at the same time that it feeds my body. And I feel like it's an act of self-care and nurturing. I love the whole thing. Some people hate that, right? Some people hate following a recipe. Some people hate having to fix the food themselves. But there's so many options. There's you don't have to do it the way I do it. There's so many different ways you can go about still planning and still making sure that you get the healthy food that you need. So
That's great. And I think maybe we should ask Bella to follow up and talk a little bit more in a future video. Because she's really big on, so am I, on like mindful eating too. And like learning, so you don't have to love to cook. You don't have to love to eat, but like we do all have to eat.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, except for like someone who maybe has a specific health issue or something. I should explain that one. But like there are ways we can be more mindful in our approach to it, whether it be you repeating the same meal every day because you don't like cooking, and that gives you comfort to know that like your lunch is going to be exactly the same every day, but you could still appreciate it and enjoy it and be more mindful in it and have a little of that soul. I love that you talked about your soul there in it. Add a little of that emotional component. So I'll have to ask her to do that, because Bella, I know, is really passionate about that. I think all of us are.
Yes.
So I do want to make sure. So we had a really beautiful question that I didn't get to ask. It was kind of related to what we were talking about before with your why and everything else. And since we kind of were in the middle of that when we went kaput, I'm just going to revisit it. And the question, I'm so sorry, I'm blanking on the woman's name who posted this, but she wanted to just really know, like, what would be the advice and encouragement you have for the ladies who have a lot longer to go on their journey? So for them, maybe it's a lot harder to wrap their head around. They have a lot more weight to lose or physical issues or whatever else. What could you tell them right now to help them go forward?
Well, I think you said it right there where you said on their journey, right? Because we're all on a journey. It's not about just reaching whatever goal we've determined that we want to reach. I think one advantage that women who have more weight to lose, or even more, internal growth, however that looks for them, one advantage of that over someone who, like, I wanted to lose 10 pounds when I started, is that it's gonna take you longer. So you're gonna be in the process longer. It's gonna be more than 12 weeks to lose all the weight that you have to lose. So the advantage of that is that you have a longer amount of time to be working through all these steps, to be tracking your progress, to be understanding your body, to pay attention to the foods you eat, to realize that, oh, when I eat this, I wake up at night and I don't like that. Or when I don't get enough sleep, I'm this way, or whatever. Like, you have a longer time to pay attention to the journey that you're on. And then once you do reach your goal weight, hopefully, since it would have been a longer amount of time, those things have become just second nature, and they're so ingrained in you that it's not, well, I've reached my goal and now I'm going to go back to how things were. It's, wow, this is like part of my life now. This is part of my journey that's going to continue even though I hit my goal weight. I think it's much easier for someone who only has 10 pounds and maybe they bought this only to reach it, they're going to go on vacation and they want to lose that 10 pounds to wear their bikini or whatever it is. If they reach that in 12 weeks and all this stuff hasn't really become as ingrained in them, it's more likely that they're going to more easily go back to how things were before. So I hope that that's an encouragement. I hope it's not like, it doesn't seem overwhelming to you that you feel like, oh, I have this long road ahead of me. Like, think of it as, I have this opportunity. I have this journey I'm going on. I'm going to learn all these things. And there's just so much for you in the process if you're like fully in it and if you're ready for that. So I get excited just talking about it. I'm so excited.
Oh, I just love it. No, it's like everyone, like, you have your own, this is a terrible metaphor, but like metabolic yellow brick road.
Oh yeah.
So you guys get to go on, so there's more adventures and things to learn. Like, so Dorothy learns like all about herself on that road, and you just have more time to explore all the little things that pop up on the way. So it's actually like a really cool thing and an advantage.
Right.
And I think that's like, I love that. Most people would never go, guess what? I have an advantage right now because I get to do this for longer. But it really is.
Right. And keep charting your journey as well, you guys. Keep charting, keep taking pictures. because you want to look back at it one day and be able to see how far you've come. So make sure that you do that as well.
I love seeing all the photos, they make me really happy, but like, even I can say, like, I remember, so I didn't actually have to lose weight. I actually had to gain some weight when I first started, like with my arm, my muscles were like, I didn't have flabby arms. I had like spindle arms with like, I couldn't hold any, I was so weak. And so, I mean, I did have to lose weight in my stomach, but like there was nothing. And I love looking back at the photos that I took back in like 2018 or whatever, and going, wow, I had no muscles. My arms were just these little sticks sticking out of my weird apple pear, apple body. I guess I was an apple because I had little sticks, but I had a tummy. And now I can look back and go, wow, look how toned that is now. Look how strong I am. And it's things like that too. It's not just the like, okay, my stomach looks better. That's nice too. But like, those other things you get to see, and it's invigorating to go back later. Notice those little things.
Yeah. It's so cool.
And it's so easy to forget, right? Because like,
exactly. I know. And the thing I love about taking pictures too is that I have often taken pictures of myself, and then I look at the picture and I'm like, what? Like, I look like that?
You look good.
Good way. But I don't realize that. I mean, how often do you see your backside? You can't really see it. So I don't know. It is exciting because it takes you by surprise when you don't actually capture it and see. You're like, oh, I didn't even know.
I love it. I would totally agree. And I actually have been bad about taking my backside. So that's a reminder, everyone, to take the photos from all angles, because you don't know how you're going to change and where you're going to change. And I know it's really tempting. A lot of people like get rid of the clothes that didn't fit them before, but maybe keep an outfit, because some of you have shared photos and things with you with those old clothes, and you're like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this used to fit me comfortably or whatever. And then it's really empowering. Yeah. So we're kind of over time because of our little like technical difficulty, but I want to end on something else fun, just because I'm really curious about this. So if you had to like, because I don't know if I have one, maybe this is a hard question. What would be your favorite workout of all of them? Like, just individual, like today's the day you're going to go out and you're like, I just want to visit my favorite comfort. Maybe not comfort. It might be horrible, but not horrible. You know what I mean? Like hard. What would that one be?
Oh man. It's been a while since I did renewal. So I don't remember like specifically all of the individual workouts, but I really love that. Is it phase 4 in Prime? That I think it's the second workout in phase 4 of Prime. And I just love it because it's legs, it's arms, and then I think you have to do a get up or something like that. So it's like a whole body. So it kind of incorporates everything. And I like the movements are very fluid. There's nothing really jarring in that. And so I love that.
I love that you chose that one. I actually have a love-hate relationship with that specific workout. But what the workout, for those of you who haven't done Prime, it's the last phase of the program. And it actually really combines all of the things that Jade teaches in all of our programs. So you're still using the simple movements, like there's nothing crazy in it. It's just compound movements like we do in, Metabolic Renewal as you grow and things like that through the programs. It's all that stuff just together in a workout. So it's nothing really new or exciting. It just forces you to like use your body in maybe a new to you way. Because it's all stuff it just combines them all.
Right. And you feel so strong. You're like, yes.
I would say that is my favorite thing about Prime, is how strong it makes you feel when you're done.
Yeah.
Any of the workouts, you're like, right?
Yeah. And Lora, can I say one more thing?
I would love it.
Okay. So since we're talking to mostly women for Metabolic Renewal, one of the things that I learned going through that program was, I think our culture kind of expects women to do it all, be it all the time, all that sort of thing. And one of the things that I fully embraced through that program is learning to actually plan around my cycle. And it has been so helpful. And I do not apologize for it. And I live in a household of all guys. And I'm just very like, that's not going to work. I look at my cycle calendar. Yeah, that's not going to work, right now. And it is just so helpful and freeing to be able to realize that we do have these hormones that take us through these cycles. And if you learn to live with that and plan according as much as you can, of course, things come up that are unexpected, but as much as you can plan along with that, it just makes it so much easier, lowers your stress level, and it helps you take care of yourself better. And then if you're taking care of yourself better, you're taking care of those around you better. And I love that. It's been really helpful to me. So I know, like for myself, when I am like from the time I ovulate until the start of my period, those are my 2 bad weeks. So I like don't try to have any group activities during that time. Because I know that's going to be hard for me. I try not to plan a lot of things that have details. I try to use a lot of self-care, even with my workouts. I change my workouts a little bit. I do more yoga, Pilates, more stretching, all that sort of thing. I make sure I get extra sleep. I'm just a lot more gentle and careful with myself. And then the other 2 weeks where it's like after my period until I ovulate, I'm good to go with group activities during that time. So if I'm going to plan something social, that's the time to do it. Any planning that involves a lot of details, that's a good time for me to do that. And so it's just, I don't know if that helps anyone, but I found it to be really helpful to have the freedom to just live that way. And it makes it a lot easier.
I just love that you said that, because I wanted to ask you, but I was like, is she going to think it's weird if I ask her about how does she interact with her period? We probably should do something like this sometime with a couple women and all talk about how the program has helped us understand our cycle. And also, because like, I feel like even like I was afraid to ask you because I didn't want you to feel uncomfortable if I brought it up on this live thing, right?
I'm open.
We all have it. So like, I do like you. And I would say like that, yeah, the lessons from Jade too, and how you like approach the second half of your cycle, it changed the way I used to work out every day, like these long, crazy hours and hours workouts. And I would run marathons and everything. And that was not the right thing for me to be doing. And then I would get very frustrated and have worse PMS symptoms and things, And now I kind of have learned to read that, taking the time to go inward, like you say, and just knowing and like not being embarrassed, even though I was embarrassed to ask you about it. But like, we're all women, we all have it, right? I mean, we don't all have it. Some of us don't have it anymore, but we all have stuff. Even if you've had a hysterectomy, you still have hormones and you still have other things that are affecting you because you had like you once had periods, maybe you've never had a cycle because of whatever thing is going on, but you're still a woman and you're still having stuff going on that you need to acknowledge and figure out how to work. It's all working for you, right? Not against you.
And I found it so helpful to even be free to talk about it because I mean, sometimes guys are weird. They don't want to hear about that. But, and I have 3 teenage boys, but you know what? They're compassionate. Like if instead of just being impatient and irritable and not talking about what I'm saying or what I'm feeling, if I say, you know what, I'm like PMS right now, and I'm just having a hard time processing whatever is going on, they're compassionate and they're loving towards that. And I'm that way with other people too. Like if you can sense when something's off with someone, right? You can pick up on that and you can sense it. And a lot of times that makes us uncomfortable. But if the person is upfront and they said, I'm struggling right now because this is on my mind, this is on my heart, and they tell you about that, then you feel like you're part of it with them. And you feel like, well, I can be compassionate towards that because I can understand, what you're going through. And it just makes it so much easier in relationships that way. So I'm pretty open about it.
I'm laughing. I'm just like, oh man, where were you? I should have had you like follow me around for like the past month. I'm just kidding, but no, I needed you. And I think I think that we can wrap up with a good way of looking at this and just knowing that communication is important. Nothing is like, it's okay to be embarrassed, but like, let's talk about things. And if you don't feel comfortable talking about this stuff with your family yet, or your husband or your kids or your friends, whatever it is, whether it be your cycle, literally, whether it just be the reaction, like the way you're feeling doing our program, use the Facebook groups, use the resources. We're here for you, and we can help you at least start to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. But you're not, we're all here together. And I love that you ended with that. I cannot, I'm genuinely thanking you for myself right now, because even though I do this, I am guilty of, all those things. So if you are too, it's okay if you're watching and you're like, I'm not perfect, So, well, what we can do to follow up is I will share these videos. And if you guys are seeing these now later in the Facebook group and you have any questions for Angela that we didn't get to, or that you want to follow up, if it's a short one, maybe she'll just comment back in the group and I'll make sure she sees it. And if it's something bigger, maybe we'll ask her and she can either film it back for us, or we can do another one where the technology works, or maybe with a couple people, and maybe we do have a period powwow.
Period powwow.
I don't know about that name. I'm not a copywriter, guys. But I can't thank you enough. Every day, Angela, you inspire me. I really like you sharing your workouts, you posting in the groups. You are always there encouraging. Oh, there's your puppy. And you light up the room. And I just, on behalf of not just me, but like all of Metabolic Living, just thank you for being you.
Oh, thank you, Lora. I always love talking to you and love being part of this community.